You know, now that I think about it, I should really think about adding some sort of countdown thing to this stream. Anyway, I'll just be a moment or two. Alrighty. Hope everyone's had a good weekend. Webcam on. So behold, new wig. It literally arrived like 3 hours ago, so I haven't really had a chance to style it, but yeah, my cosplay just looks a lot more complete with it. Check it out. Behold, my stuff. It's me, I'm my stuff. Thank you, Nick. I'll just give you a quick shout out. Hey, Nolis. Oh, could you give Nick a quick shout out? Thank you, Nolis. Yeah, one thing every body painting tutorial says, when you're doing sort of like a character, it just looks kind of weird until you've actually put the wig on. And yeah, now that I've got one on, yeah, like, it makes sense, you know. It just didn't quite feel right. So yeah, it just looks miles better. Not entirely sure if dark hair was the right choice for this character, but it's the one I've gone with, so yeah, I like it. Yeah. I've also got this sort of, it's like a clip-on ponytail extension for the wig, although it's quite heavy. So I don't know, I might use this, might not. Might just stick with the kind of short default. This is literally just out of the box, so pretty good considering. But yeah, enough of that. Obviously I've got the new horns I'm working on. But, you know, I think this elevates these horns quite a bit. Like, they just look so cute just poking out of hair like this. And you're quite welcome, Nick. You were, of course, streaming some Citizen Sleeper earlier, which does look extremely cool. I have trouble sort of playing the, you know, games with a timer. And yes, I know it's kind of ironic I'm running Blades and Soon Girl by Moonlight. But it's the kind of thing I stress out about myself. Like, I can barely actually even play the original Pikmin. Come on, controller, switch on. There we go. So yeah, how's everyone's weekend gone? This Sunday was basically my first day back at work, which I can take or leave that, but you know. Okay, cool. The title screen updates. Nick, been okay for you? Feel pretty groggy all weekend, so you didn't want to get as much done as you wanted, but sometimes you just gotta rest. It's true. Oh yeah, just to warn everyone, I might make the stream a bit short because I've been literally like an hour ago I was called and asked to basically cover a colleague's shift instead of my normal one. But yeah, to recap, our best friend and mentor has been murdered. And because we were smuggled onto the ship and hiding in a cupboard, we're immediately being blamed. And like our other best friend sort of also doesn't entirely trust us, so we need to get her on side. Nellus, going okay? Currently setting up yet more DMPCs for your ill-advised one-player D&D game. Oh yeah, I suppose you kind of need DMPCs in a one-on-one game. Like, even if it's just a cleric who occasionally tops up the one-player character's HP. But yeah, let's have a look around. So the nice thing about this, compared to the original trilogy, is you get this little tick that reminds you if you've already seen something. Okay, what have we got here? That's my dinner from last night. Roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Suzasu-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Okay, yeah, I'm going with my theory that the chicken was poisoned, or had knockout drops in it, and that's why the player character didn't wake up. I need to remind myself, his name is pronounced Ryunosuke. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no, does that mean poor Kazuma-san sent his last night on Earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Murder most foul. Zoom in. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever that thing was, it appears to have broken cleaning too. The glass is such a beautiful colour. It looks like a cute Netsuke fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it. I wonder... What is it, I wonder? It sort of has a brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It's the colour of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same colour anywhere else in the cabin. Notice, the fun part is the player decides to play a cleric. You really should be using the sidekick rules for more of these. Well, it's the thought that counts. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? And unfortunately he couldn't just write, "Hello, I was killed by do-do-do, because do-do-do." I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruto-san. What? Then what language is it? Notice, you'll give them this isn't 11037. Danganronpa reference. Fair enough. It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? Okay, well, Herlock Sholmes in the opening said it seemed to be Russian, so I guess it's Russian. That's a very large travelling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. I could eat anything but apples. It's a bit of a Hobbit reference for all the Tolkien fans out there. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah yes, I see it. It says, "This way up" in Japanese. Which, in hindsight, I should have realised the foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear. Being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than the Susato takedown. Oh yeah, she basically knocked him on his arse at the end of the last stream. Nullis, you've seen the movies and read The Hobbit once, you have no idea. Your siblings reading through, but only halfway through the Fellowship. Hey, Key. Yep, purple indeed. And also, I have hair now. I mean, I always had hair, but now it kind of fits better, you know. And, you know, I think it makes the horns look extra cute. Okay, so it says you're playing Just Chatting. Did you finish off Silent Hill 2 remake? The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. Icky, you do? You love a look that incorporates the horns? Yeah. I don't know why, but they just sort of work better than with my... Maybe it's because the wig sort of, you know, it works in a more costumey way. So, you know, it just looks like, you know, it's just horns that are interactive with the hair naturally. Because obviously I don't want to get latex gummed up in my hairline, so I can only do so much. Icky, you did indeed finish Mountain on Mute, and then you reviewed all of the unhinged GIFs you send Jill at every stream day. Yeah, maybe Nick Goggles and I should review all of the art Nick sends us at the start of a stream. No, we should not. Or should we? Maybe we should. But no, not a good idea. Even if I want to have revenge against Nick somehow. You know, it's actually interesting because what partially inspired the look that made me make these latex horns is I think it's one of the big... It's a project, Kickstarter project that was done by one of the big-ish D&D YouTubers that's like The Seeker's Guide to Twisted Taverns, and the mascot is just like a devil person who's got the whole horns the same colour as their skin look. And it actually looks quite close. I know, maybe I should consider doing a cosplay of that character sometime. I mean, I'll be learning how to do red body paint for Karlak. Icky, you agree I'm owed revenge against Nick, but it's not worth violating TOS. Okay, fine. You make a convincing argument. Yeah, that's the one Joe Cat did the animation for. What's the name of the other... Like, I know, the, D&D YouTuber who actually wrote it is friends with Joe Cat, but I can't quite remember what his handle is. It's just on the tip of my tongue. Zbashu. That could be his actual name, but definitely not the handle. I mean, I literally have the book right over there, but I don't want to get up to go check it. Yeah, the sort of mascot of those books is well, the titular Seeker, and they're basically like a non-binary devil person with red skin and horns. And they have the fringe is sort of similar to this one, but they have short white hair instead. I think I said it at the time, but when I was sculpting these horns, well, the mould for these horns, as I made tons of horns of the same mould, the sort of model was that character in the cover of Legends and Lattes, I believe the book is. You really should read the sequel to that. But yeah, obviously I'm working on the new horns, which are more proper sort of bony horns, and they'll have the silicone base. So that'll be fun as well. Notice, several D&D YouTubers cameoed in the DM episode of Joe Cat's Crap Diet Guide. Jaden Animation, Z, Poppin Forest. Well, I'm sure it'll come, it'll just hit me later on. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked. And everything mown down at once. Wouldn't it be funny if, the victim just literally fell over because the ship tilted a bit, knocked his head and died. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt it. Oh yeah, he just straight up has a katana, which for some reason he was allowed to lug around into court. Notice, to be honest, those are the only ones you actually know of. Oh, fair enough then. It was you, Naruto-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. I'm sure that'll be an important detail later. And these are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS BisectedBrioche. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Okay, so obviously the victim had a sword, and he was basically keeping a Rhinosuke in his cabinet, so I guess the joke there is he's basically his pet. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? Game, we're trying to keep the stream safe for work. I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Calling on a faraway town. Poor Kazuma, he didn't even make it to his destination. Current poll, tag yourself. Am I going to hate this? Dangerous object or pet? Ah, the two genders, of course. It looks as though his last entry is incomplete. He was writing, I was killed by, and it just cuts off. Which means, what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Here! That's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important, something relevant to the case? Ellipses nuts. Alright, I won't read it. Notice, again, he's not on his arse, he's levitating. Yeah, I get maybe she's actually dangling him by his feet. Like she just has snares set up all over the room. That would explain how she was tackling him so easily. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into what people's personal matters either, but in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Well, clearly not. Loser. And move. What else we got? Nice chair. It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruto-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting, making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. But because of that, you have no idea what's happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. Oh yeah, our audio level's okay, by the way. You hear me in the game, both? I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. No list, audio's good. Okay, thank you. This is, yes, it's a Belcore contraption, I think. What do you mean contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. I mean, there's nothing magical about the labour of the lower classes. Shall we give it a little try? Yes, in the interest of cultural research, obviously. That's a bell, all right. Notice? Looks like an obnoxious place for it to be right over the pillow. Yeah. But no, maybe this is like a cabin for someone who needs medical attention constantly. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone's busy, that's all. Okay, anything we've not looked at yet? Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me? What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. This is going to be the most British-sounding Russian man ever. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime. Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information though. I have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything else of the ordinary at all? Yet, of course not. Now back into corner of room and make silent.
I say no more to you.
Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. Okay. Oh yeah, back. So, let's talk about what we've learned. Okay, nothing. Let's try presenting stuff. Suzato-san, about this. I'm sorry, Naruto-san, but we don't have time to waste on anything else. We must find clues. She looks serious. Really quite deadly serious. University collar pin? Because, you know, wouldn't be Phoenix right without a badge to show everyone. Okay, that doesn't do anything either. I'm in handcuffs and under house arrest by the crew. Not to mention Suzato-san's constant glares. I think it's fair to say I'm stuck in this cabin, for the time being at least. I should focus on investigating here to see what I can find out. Okay, there must be something I haven't seen yet then. Oh, the air vent. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough, or something like that. I suppose. Maybe that's it. Bear? Fuck. Yeah. Right you are, Ryunosuke. Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Well, that might change in a century or two, if the Tories get their way. Oh, how did he? You've noticed the man too, haven't you? I'm not hallucinating him. I have no idea who he is or how he got here, but he looks suspicious. And tall. Suspiciously tall. Naruto-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investing Kazuma's case? Or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it? Or does Suzato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? Notice how can you tell how tall he is when he's doing that gargoyle shtick? Yeah, someone get Pixelin. Oh, the poll has ended. And the results are in. No one voted. Oh well. By the way, I expect you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press A on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that especially tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Okay, let's have a chit-chat. Excuse me? Ellipses nuts. Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh. This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. No, that's just how we act here. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings, I hope I haven't kept you long. What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry. What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I get that reference, and this is the perfect way to introduce, like, himbo Sherlock Holmes. Sorry. What? And now, while venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? Notice, you get the reference, but only because of the Great Mouse Detective. I mean, to be honest, that's most of what I know about Sherlock Holmes as well. That and BBC Sherlock, but we don't talk about that here. How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction. Hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madame. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And, when the bereaved occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. I don't think this iteration of Sherlock Holmes is meant to be a master detective. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, aren't you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin will be with 16 victims to his name? Average Tumblr user in 2010. When you disagree with their ship. I don't even see one person who fits the bill. Plot twist, the crewman in the back was. So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? Oh wait, presumably they were speaking in English, so she didn't understand what they were saying. Okay, no. Okay. I like how she's actually got a bit of mayor in her. And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behaviour, Naruto-san. Absolutely wicked. Average Tumblr user. No, listen. Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You're just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see. What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. I'll be honest, The Great Mouse Detective is probably one of the best adaptations of Sherlock Holmes. And you can fight me if you believe otherwise. But you won't, because basically everyone knows it's true. Indeed, an observation, dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles. You see, I announce my findings with a brushy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduced yourself. My apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure we all know the what's going on with the name here. Like the original Lupin novel, which Lupin III, the anime was based on, is basically supposed to be like a distant sequel to. Basically had a parody of Sherlock Holmes called Sherlock Holmes, and many basically a long legal battle ensued, and it was established that Sherlock Holmes is a reasonable parody thereof. So even though Sherlock Holmes has only been public domain for like a decade, Sherlock Holmes has been public domain for a very long time. Exactly, Icky. Oh my god, Sherlock Holmes. So, it's really you, the actual Sherlock Holmes. The very same. The inimitable actual Sherlock Holmes. Do you know this man, Suzasu-san? Yep, exactly. I think they were deliberately going for a gag there with the word inimitable. The most famous detective in the world, Naruto-san? Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. Okay, consider this. He says all men and all women have heard of him. Therefore, Ryanosuke must be non-binary. Case closed. And yes, that reference was deliberate. What planet have I been living on then? We must ask him what he's deduced. I can't word today. He'll have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? Well, you're missing the part where he was literally accusing the person you know is a childhood friend of yours from Japan of being a Russian assassin. Great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I'm none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Sherlock, was it? No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please call me Holmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rand's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Oh yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you'd take me for. Your inference is backwards. Okay. Complaint. He's saying backward. With an English accent, you say backwards. Backwards. My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements in Chronicles in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Nick, you say backward. Okay, maybe it's just me then. Dr. Wilson? Oh no. I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Nick, maybe it's regional. Regional. Yeah, possibly. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I was always told it's forwards and backwards if in UK English and forward and backward in American. But then again, there's a lot of accents, so either or. Why, this very moment, I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Icky, finally a Sherlock Holmes and House MD crossover. Nellis, you think you use both interchangeably? Ah, fair enough then. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance. Or pygmy. A twitch of the muscle. A slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeve, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. I'm just imagining like a body horror person made up of little datas. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can you look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and deduction and fame. Hey Armadillo Dreaming, how's it going? Welcome to whatever the heck's going on here. Also, I have a week to go of my tiefling cosplay now. Pretty good, catching up on sleep. Ah, nice. Who doesn't love a good sleep? That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Yep, extra purple. I wasn't entirely sure about going for dark hair, because I kind of like the effect with lighter hair, but yep, it's cute. How have I been? Yeah, pretty good. I mean, first day back at work yesterday. I'm going to be back at work tomorrow, first thing, because I've been asked to cover someone's shift. But hey, 2 more weeks and I get some more time off work, so it's all good in the hood. Okay, Kazuma's death. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Herlock Sholmes was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, 2 facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? 2 facts, you say? Two facts. Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please, what 2 facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin in the morning? Ah, yes, but first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? No less concealed. He's wearing golden brown, and the crew are wearing white. I know maybe he's wearing white under his overcoat, but then he'd have had to pull the overcoat from nowhere. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. This actually reminds me of the Sherlock Holmes parody in Soul Eater. Like it was just a brief gag, but for some reason it really sticks in my head. The two facts I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Thinking about it, anime does a lot of Sherlock Holmes homages and parodies. I wonder if that's sort of a big thing. Like, Ghost in the Shell is one of those bigger sort of animes that became popular in the West, so maybe Sherlock Holmes is like the opposite. Exactly, Nihilus. Excalibur's flashbacks are great. You know what I mean. The two facts I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1. The cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2. The victim was Russian, and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes, what made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think that Kazuma-san could have left a dying message in Russian? Armadillo garderobe. Oh, thank you. One of the many French loan words. Oh yeah, I can sort of see that. In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? I initially considered garderobe may be the name of a killer, a certain Robert Guard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to at least look inside the wardrobe there. Well, you found Mr. Naruto sleeping soundly? Quite so. I found you. The renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you're acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Are school uniforms the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim in the message, that I might analyse it for possible hidden details. Armadillo. In Sholmes' defence, Robert Guard would be an Ace Attorney villain. Absolutely. Like, doesn't at least one villain have the surname Guard? Am I remembering that right? Wasn't it like the guy from the third Ace Attorney game? Matt on Guard. Yeah, exactly, Nihilus. Wait, no, was that the second game or the third? This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Nuride? Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. The Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. It would appear to have been written in the victim's final moments. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that. Oh yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Quickle. Yeah, I can't read that. Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian. Okay, your deduction right now. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 parts. Oh yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain, Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Casimir Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realise that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who had killed the very man who helped him escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you. Villain Bolshevik. No, how can it be me? I don't look anything like this man, just look at his face. Oh, sorry, I'm face blind. Well, you're a Russian revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. Okay, this is what transvestigators sound like when they're trying to cold read your photo on the internet. Armadillo dreaming, he has the most wild leaps of logic. Exactly. Oh, you like that one, Armadillo? And now I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say any more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination? And blowing up the Crystal Tower? Oh yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. No less, that pose of his could be a JoJo pose if they pushed it a lot farther. You're kind of right. Although his design looks a bit too clean for a JoJo character. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? In this Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Notice his design is far too normal for JoJo, that's for sure. And the palette is way too restrained. True. I've absorbed all there is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. The article about the revolutionary has been entered into the court record. An article on the front page of a Russian newspaper. The headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik, please, Russia via Shanghai. And you may fart into the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back, cast your eyes over it. Sometime if interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance over the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. What were you just investigating? Oh yeah, and he is an absolutely jack-nailess. That's true. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Oh yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment. The desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London Diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Wait, London Diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Oh, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes. Believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japan. He knows the victim was writing in Japanese. This is exactly like arguing with a transphobe. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Suzato takedown is. Suzato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Narido-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim, it would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. No less. That'd be far too much trouble to animate. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to the details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, Mikado, nado nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. I can't believe Sherlock Holmes is a weeb. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. So what was all that showing off about before then? If you'd be so kind as to show me, I'd be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. Notice you don't know what the last two words are. I think it's just an interjection, but I might be wrong. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just two short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 AM. I can hear a faint whistling sound. Whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 AM. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? Snook. I have no idea. I've never heard of that expression.
The ventilator grill, you say? Le grill? What the hell is le grill? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin.
Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary has been entered into the court record. A diary Kazuma was keeping of his trip to London. According to the last entry he made before his death, he spied what appeared to be a speckled band.
So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least.
Do you have somewhere to go?
As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold.
Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to?
Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation.
He sounds like the average Twitter user.
So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough.
Do you think perhaps that we could go with you?
No, that would be somewhat complicated.
What? But why?
A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer.
Oh, these.
After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter.
No. There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place.
Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point.
You must be joking. You just said it, only a moment ago. Exactly like arguing with a transphobe on Twitter.
Dear me, you're clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing.
Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too.
You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really.
So, what were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are.
Well, anyway, that was then, this is now.
What do you mean?
What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate.
Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humour is as twisted as his name. Nudo-san, what are you just standing there for? You must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... Yeah. After Kazuma-san has spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're wanting to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice.
Okay, so we'll talk to the Russian state. Oh wait. Let's take a closer look at everything. So we can turn over the newspaper. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me neither. I have no idea what any of this says. The pair of you found floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. It reads, Revolutionary villain Borashek flees Russia via Shanghai. Yes, you told us that before. Also, how do you teleport over here? It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell the tale. Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, wasn't he? Hey, Max Sting. The Great Ace Attorney is Ace. Wait, the Great Attorney is Ace. Exactly. What do you think of my new wig? The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he need only shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Sholmes. You were just about to say the new look is amazing. Oh, thank you. I literally only got this wig a few hours ago, so I haven't had a chance to style it. But I'm really happy with how it looks. I get most of my wigs from Costcraft, and this is just fantastic out of the box. Hashtag not sponsored. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruto-san? Well, no. I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? Max Sting, you'll probably be heading off a little under an hour. You're going to be moral support while a friend while they do housework. Fair enough. I'm not going to stream that long anyway today. In fact, I might actually call it at like 8 o'clock. Just because I've got work first thing in the morning because I guess I'm too nice. She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? Oh no. I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you noticed this article. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novivik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room. Wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure. It must be an unbelievable sum of money. So that's right. Stan's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novivik Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Max Sting, why are Russian names so hard to remember? You've been having that problem while reading Crime and Punishment. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that's a Russian novel. Yes, I'm not surprised. You're 99% certain that it's just that you're not used to those names? Yeah, I mean that's basically it, isn't it? It's hard to remember names in a language you don't speak. company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports, with sailings to Great Britain.
Why Britain? Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country?
It does seem to be the Russian thing to do.
Yep, just rushing off. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruto. Max Ding, this is why NPCs in your bespoke settings often have easy to remember names. Yeah, I mean I was having quite a bit of trouble with Tactical Breach Wizard just because the first 3 major characters introduced all had 3 letters long names. The article about the ballerina has been entered into the court record. An article on the back page of a Russian newspaper. The headline reads, "Renowned prima ballerina of the Novik Ballet disappears from Shanghai." Okay. Kazuma's diary. Okay, nothing new there. Article about the ballerina. Nullis, meanwhile, your memory is great for fancy and foreign names specifically. Max Sting, enviable. Like, in Guild of Icons, there was literally a running gag that I couldn't remember Nick's, the names of Nick's NPCs. Okay, let's have a little chit-chat with the Russian.
Excuse me? What? I was wondering if I could ask you a favour. Would you mind if I investigated a little outside? Grandmother told me.
Okay. Just gonna skim through this because we've seen it before.
We're in the middle of the sea. There's no chance of me escaping. Yet. You stay in this cabin until next port. Then it's up to Hong Kong police to decide what they do with you.
Icky, this is the same Nick who names the character Emeris Lamberto Tempestnova Felix the Baronasio. Exactly. Notice you have a few Dragonborn NPCs in your current campaign who have clan names like Fenkin, Cab, Radin, and the Gish, and you've been acing them every time. Wow, show off. Max Sting, whereas your character, young Ibn Nadira, just goes by Stone. I mean, that also works.
You'll stay.
Alright. There's no point in trying to appeal to this man's better nature, that's for sure. Max Sting, her cousin went by Janet as a nickname, but when she transitioned that graduated to just being her name. Yeah, that's fair. My character in Guild of Icons, Grounded, was in a similar position. Basically, like, Grounded was her childhood nickname, because she misbehaved a bit. But she was adopted by Aarakocra, and they have sort of flowery names that tend to have a common translation, and she also adopted Grounded as her translation of her name. Okay. Can I present? I can't present. I can't move. So thanks to that so-called detective, I'm even more stuck inside this cavern than I was before. For the time being, I suppose I'll just have to focus my efforts on investigating here. Okay, is there anything new? When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. Oh, it's quite a small bolt, and not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there'll be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel all tense up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel
The culprit used the needle and thread to draw a bolt from outside the room in a situation like this.
Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There'll be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid.
When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles up and down my spine. Oh, look over there.
The crewman? Do you mean he wasn't there before, was he?
That's what I thought.
Why don't we try talking to him?
Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again. But I suppose I could try.
Okay. Other crewman.
Is
something wrong, Naruto-san? Max Stone might end up going the same route as a direct cousin, but you imagine it's just come to mind. But a lot of it is just they grew up in Taldane territory, and Taldanes don't pronounce Kellish names very well. And as an ethnic and linguistic minority, they opt for a sort of secondary name for the benefit of the dominant culture. Yuan's given name actually means dove, but she likes rocks, and is also a lesbian, so she goes by Stone in Taldan, aka common. Okay. So it's more likely she'd pick out a mass Kellish name and keep Stone as a nickname. Fair enough.
Oh no, it's just that the crewman's standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before.
Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir? Wait, is that the frickin' detective?
Yes, what can I do for you? I recognise that face, but it can't be. It is.
I didn't know you were here. Inspector Hosonaga? You can apparently pass for a Russian. Yeah, his entire thing is that he's constantly coughing up blood. So I guess he's supposed to be really sick. Notice you thought it was Sholmes. Nope, I don't think this is a setting where he's a master of disguise.
What's he doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped.
Nearly stopped, I hope.
I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again?
Isn't he a little out of his jurisdiction? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector.
If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation.
Okay, special orders. Max saying that was one of the more darkly humorous still running bits in Breaking Bad. He thought that himself coughing up blood was because he was dying of cancer. When he finally saw a doctor about it, his cancer was in remission, and the doctor admonished him for letting his throat get so damaged because bleeding from the throat can be a whole other source of fatality. Well then.
So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector?
Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew?
I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard.
Well, you did a great job.
Maxting, why are you dressed as a member of the crew? What? Where did these clothes come from? It was Minister of Justice, Jikogu, who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated.
That was a possibility? I mean, it's clearly been a possibility, but, you know. Sorry, I lost a nail from my finger gloves. That's not ideal.
Assassinated? How could that even be a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tension between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should prepare for all eventualities. This is incredible.
I don't believe it. Kazuma-san was assassinated?
Obviously, you couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew.
I see.
I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board. From morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin. Not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologise. Inspector? So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word.
Okay, permission to investigate, please.
We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not.
We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door.
Yes. Wait, yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you moved to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive.
What do you mean?
If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how.
There may be a way.
What? Really?
Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san. By persuading me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession.
Evidence?
It's just the same as when you're in court. You must have done it many times already during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use.
So evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain.
Okay. That's got to be,
The diary, hasn't it? What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator. Is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Now you're thinking of that scene in Sword on Art Online Abridged, where Asuna admits the reason she hasn't joined the group is she doesn't know how to open the menu. She's very good at everything else, she's technically inept. Well, that's fair enough. I don't know anything about Sword Art Online or the Abridged series, so... I mean, I know it's, sort of, an earlier isekai anime about people trapped in a MMO. And I know it had a sequel called Gun Gale Online, which is about people not trapped in a shooter. Alright then. Max Sting, earliest relative, there's older ones like Fushigi Yugi. Yeah, it's like, I think it was like the early wave of when it was sort of solidifying as an actual genre, you know? I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? Max Sting, in your opinion, there's not much about Sword Art Online worth knowing, but the Abridged series is hilarious and actually emotionally surprisingly effective. And it has a better plot. It's kind of ridiculous in that way. Really. Unless you don't think you've heard of it, but then you haven't watched a lot of the genre. Max Sting, 90s isekai, was often marketed for girls. Oh yeah. In Inuyasha was, I believe VG Cats described it as Dragon Ball Z for girls. In that sort of semi-toxic 2000s way. I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruto-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last. Move, alright. Let's see what we can find out. To be fair, any dubbed animes basically got pigeonholed for being for girls if they had a woman or girl protagonist. Like Cardcaptor Sakura was recut into Cardcaptors, and they tried to make the love interest, who wasn't really that important, into like a secondary character. Well, let's move it. First class passageway.
Ninth of January, 7:48 a.m. SS Bureau, first class cabin passageway. Bing bong.
I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be. And this is the most luxurious accommodation.
Yes, indeed.
Max Ding, speaking of Clamp, who made Card Captor, there's also Magic Knight's Rayeth. Ah, yeah. I remember that was a big one. Fancy Mecha Magical Girl Isekai thing going. Kazuma-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous, even if he's sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs.
Naruto-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I'd have thought you'd be used to a ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Like, he was literally living in the cupboard.
Well, yeah, I know. But the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe.
It must have been a very trying time for you. Unless you meant Sword Art Online Abridged, not the actual show. Ah, fair enough.
Max Ding, you should really try to get around to trying out Fushigi Yugi. You're not entirely sure it's your thing, but you feel like you've got to try. I'll be honest, I don't know much about it. Please don't give me that pitying look.
Okay, let's have a look round then.
First class cabin number 1. Yep, that's our cabin.
Not our cabin. It's Kazuma-sama's.
Sorry.
Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin.
You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe we've been calling home.
Well, to be fair, you had to be smaller, didn't you? These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in series is number 539, by the way.
500, and how many cabins are there?
Max Ding, you suppose one reason you're curious is the manga came out as X-gender? Oh, neat. Oh, a trap for catching mice.
Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait.
Let me see. Yes, I think what it's called is cheese. It's made from the milk of cows.
Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like.
You can't eat it, Naruto-san. The trouble snaps shut on your fingers.
Really? But... I suppose you're right.
You weren't actually going to try it, were you?
All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe.
Poor you. I'll find your little snack for you later.
What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it?
That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it.
Oh, an alarm?
It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship, and brings the vessel to a complete stop.
Oh, this I have to...
What are you doing, Naruto-san? You mustn't touch it.
But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs.
You know, for a while, that's not what the alarm's for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation.
I wish everything would just stop. This ship included.
If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else.
This is it. The apocalypse. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes. The ventilator from which Kazuma-san wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Oh, excuse me. We need to get inside this cabin here. Apparently not. Notice one of the most unlikely lyrics you'd expect someone to also complete from that song. I aim to surprise. The sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, keep out. That's why I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. Okay. This looks like a plan of the SS Beria. Wait, Beria. Okay, if you don't want to get murdered, don't sail on this the damn Beria ship. Seriously? It shows each deck. Look. Oh, I'm going to enjoy my cruise on the SS Get Murdered. The good ship. Die horribly. Notice you dig those bell bottoms though. Yeah, they're nice trousers. The Beria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Well, you see, buoyancy is caused by displacing a volume of water equal to the weight of the object floating. I was insufferable when I learnt that as a kid. Like, literally, the teacher asked me a mathematics question, and I put my hand up and I was like, I don't know the answer, but I know something about boats. Oh, that's quite simple, Naruto-san. Is it? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan. Yes, that's what an archipelago is. Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Notice, knowing anything is a drug when you're a kid. Exactly. Well, I suppose so. That's a huge book on the top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. Wait, why's the log here? You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing? No reaction at all? I thought you might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruto-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Excuse me, but could I ask you something?
Yo, you little stowaway murderer.
Do you mean a stowaway who is a murderer or someone who murders stowaways? That wasn't a good start, was it? Wait, that wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you?
You little third-class lady's maid.
Wow, this guy's an arsehole. We seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, Suzasu-san.
I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman, Biff Stroganoff.
Alright. Seriously? Yeah, that is an Ace Attorney name, I guess. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. First class cabin area. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first class cabin area.
Here we are in finest parts of Beria steamship, for very important persons.
What sorts of very important persons?
Government officials, kings and queens travelling in secret, many important persons. That is why I'm always guarding this place.
Gosh, that's amazing.
But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside.
Okay, that's why he's salty.
I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal.
Thank you. If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Osogi's currently occupied?
Ah!
Suzasu-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes. Or no.
Yet.
Genius.
It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation.
Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yep. It's tantalizing. Passenger in the next door cabin. Could you tell us who's travelling in the cabin next to Mr. Osogi's? Max Sting, Beef Stroganoff, also seen in Symphogear GX.
His name is Mr. Grimsley Roylott. He is a very important Western gentleman.
Western gentleman?
Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder a student boy.
How can you be so sure about that?
Mr. Roylott is an authentic Western gentleman.
That does not in any way eliminate the possibility someone is a murderer. If anything, it's quite damning.
Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands.
And that was harsh. Max Sting, not a good character witness. Exactly. Could you tell us where Mr. Roylott came aboard?
That is not your business.
Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right?
That is not your business.
Last night. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff?
Da, all time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out.
Max Sting, you kind of appreciate the consistency of his answers. Yeah, he's got this sort of no-nonsense attitude. I was thinking, yeah, Max Sting, Seaman Stroganoff is kind of puerile.
Da, all time. so criminals like you cannot come in or get out.
Sorry, that was just really fun to say. No less, still the second most unfortunate German surname to be read by an English speaker, after Kant, which is correctly pronounced with a different syllable. But Mr. Kant was perfectly fine with the mispronunciation when he understood. Lest he be seen next Tuesday. I wonder, could you tell anything about last night at all? Maxting, the immoral imperative.
It is sad about student boy.
Were you on watch last night as well?
Of course.
Did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual?
Et.
Wow, how dare you? Maxting, yet you think? Yeah, but... Yeah, I know it was acrylic, but I couldn't resist the joke. Suzasu-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a no.
I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all.
You didn't hear any strange noises? Or sense anything wrong in some way?
I said no. Yet.
Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there.
This is enough. I cannot say more now.
Oh.
It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin.
Yes, all right.
Bulkhead to second class area, staying locked at all time. You escape when lobster whistles on top of mountain, or as English say, when pigs fly.
I mean, police helicopters exist. Yes, I understand. Good, now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Okay, what are we up to? 1 hour and 50 minutes. I think I might have to call it here. I know it's kind of early, but yeah, at the last minute I was asked to do an early shift tomorrow, so I should really get ready for bed. The nice thing about this wig is obviously the body paint is up in my hairline, so yeah, it should be quite easy to wash this off. Max Ding, do you suppose the person in that camera was also assassinated? It's possible. Assassinated. Yeah, to be fair, it's kind of one of those words that kind of throws you for a loop when you're trying to write it. Icky, assassinated. Exactly. Oh, I'd have thought you'd be playing D&D by now, Icky. I haven't saved my game. Any progress since my previous save will be lost. Am I sure I want to quit? Yes. On that note, thank you for stream. You're quite welcome, Mickey. I hope everyone's enjoying my new wig. Oh, sorry, a bit of my ear there. Sorry. Obviously, there's not really much point in painting my ear when I don't have the actual ear to cover it. Max Ding, I always had the best cosplays. Oh, thank you. I'm kind of an amateur, but I'm learning a lot about prosthetics. Yep, so hopefully I'll have my new horns ready soon. Okay, who is the live? Max Sting, often you're like, this is an amazing cosplay, then I iterate on it. Oh, thank you. Max Sting, BisectedBrioche is on, we could raid Fear. Nah, I think there's a bit weird for my liking. Like, she's clearly a devil. Let's see. Marope Cow is live with some Warframe. Max Sting, do you think they're starting to end her stream? It's a possibility. Also, thanks for using my favourite pronouns. That doesn't really happen much. No less, something, don't fear the raider. But do. Oh, Cecily just came live. I think it's been a long time since I saw anything of theirs. Let's go raid that way. I mean, I think I remember, I know them from somewhere. Kind of wish Twitch would let you add notes on people you were watching, just so you could actually remember when you and why you watched them. But yeah, we are going to raid Cecily. Oh yeah, I think it might be from when Coco used to do Celeste streams and raided them. But yeah, looks like they're doing Greece. That's the art house game spelled GRIS, which is a very sort of chill time. I'll probably raid and run. Hopefully I'll be able to stream some more on Wednesday. Don't know if my early shift tomorrow is going to be swapping with another one, or if it's still going to be early on Thursday. But so I may not be wearing cosplay. But either way, I'll hopefully see you all Wednesday. I'll also be streaming on Friday, if things go to plan. That'll be the stream I planned last week that had to be postponed for IT problems with Enfys. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for your viewership, and we're going to raid in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe. You're still my favourites.